Arlington, Virginia, you guys, let's do this today. Arlington consistently ranks as one of the top DC suburbs in which to live. One of the most sought after areas for singles, young professionals, families, empty nesters in the metro DC area. It's not often a city or a town will attract residents from such like a diverse demographic. So what is it about Arlington that it has such an enduring popularity? Is there anything bad about living here? Let's talk. I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. This is my channel. You can do the subscribey things here. I make videos for you weekly, and I just go through like the things that are important for you to know to live here. And I write it myself, which is critical. All right, let's go into Arlington now and do a good old-fashioned pros and cons analysis. All right, we're gonna start with the pros because we like the good stuff. So what is so great about Arlington? Well, prime location. Arlington ranks at the top of the list as the most convenient place to live for commuting pretty much anywhere. How is that possible? Well, it's easy. It's in the middle of many different employment areas. You have DC, then you have Tyson's Corner, and then you have the Dulles Tech Corridor. There are lots of corporate headquarters in Northern Virginia, putting you within easy access if Arlington is where you call home. Because it's not all about work, but overall lifestyle, Arlington also offers quick access to DC with bridges connecting to Georgetown, the National Mall, the Southwest Waterfront. Old Town Alexandria is just down the road if you want to spend some time soaking up the local history and charm. Tyson's Corner is about 20 minutes if you want restaurants and retail there. Virginia Wine Country out toward the Shenandoah Valley is a couple hours away. Plus you have two airports, pretty close distance here. Reagan National Airport, which is right in Arlington, and Dulles for international travel. If you don't want to drive, you can easily grab the metro in multiple locations in Arlington. And the expansion of the Silver Line out to Ashburn and the airport has really made navigating Northern Virginia a lot easier. All right, the next pro, you guys, is green space, parks, and outdoor recreation. Arlington has tons of parks and trails and many walkable areas to enjoy the outside. There are large parks in the northern part of Arlington, like Potomac Overlook and Glebe Road Park. There are dozens of smaller neighborhood parks that are like closer to the Wilson Boulevard Strip and throughout South Arlington. And then there are also a bunch of spray grounds and trails scattered throughout, as well as several dog parks in all parts of Arlington. So for trails, you have the 18-mile Mount Vernon Trail, which runs alongside the Potomac River from Roslyn to George Washington's home in Mount Vernon. There's also the W&OD Trail, which is a 45-minute paved trail that starts in the Shirlington neighborhood of Arlington and follows the road of the former railroad out to Purcellville, Virginia. Something that's pretty cool is that Arlington residents have the opportunity to take advantage of so many activities offered through Parks and Rec. Classes, camps, sports, they offer outstanding recreation program. I am jealous. The YMCA also has a couple locations here. One is a huge gymnastics program, and then there's also a dedicated tennis center. Now, hot tip here, classes can open for people that are non-residents of Arlington. I have been lucky enough to get the kids into a couple classes, even though we are residents of DC. You do have to wait out the first week of registration though, and then that's when the preference is given to the residents of Arlington. Arlington also has pools. You can check out the locations and information on their website. There's indoor pools at the 3 Arlington high schools. There's an indoor pool at Longbridge and Aquatic Center, and then an outdoor water park at Upton Hill Park. Next up is Arlington Public Schools. So all schools in Arlington are administered by Arlington County Public Schools. There are 2 different high school pyramids in the school system that serve North Arlington. You have Yorktown High School and Washington Liberty High School. There's one high school that serves the South Arlington area, which is Wakefield High School. Arlington also has a school called H.B. Woodlawn, which is a high school in Roslyn that handles admission by lottery. Woodlawn offers more self-directed study and independence, and then they also have smaller classes as a result. The elementary schools are all well rated by various online metrics. Scores do slide a little bit for middle school, but we all know middle school freaking sucks, and that's not an Arlington-specific trend. Middle school is the worst. I'm going through it right now with both my kids, and it's the worst. All right, so a few things to know about the school scores, you guys, here, not just in Arlington, but the entire DC area. Because it is so diverse here internationally, and because the school scores are derived from testing, this is a tougher metric to use to measure a school. So I highly recommend in-person visits to determine if a school is right for your family. There's also people that will say if a school score here is like a 6, it's really like an 8, maybe in a hometown somewhere else in the Midwest. So just kind of like some food for thought there. Now, there's a sentiment in Arlington that if your child needs extra assistance or is maybe ahead of his or her grade, that you really have to advocate for them on your own. But in these conversations with stressed out parents, whether in Arlington, DC, or pretty much anywhere else in the country, that actually kind of seems to be the case because you hear that teach to the middle a whole lot. All right, the next thing is food. There is so much variety for food in restaurants and grocery stores. Even some coffee shops like Northside Social have a local cult following here. There are a variety of restaurants and ethnic foods available without feeling like you have to venture over to nearby DC. In North Arlington, most of the restaurants are going to be found along the Wilson and Clarendon Strip, which run one-way parallel to each other and go through the neighborhoods of Roslyn out to Ballston. You're going to find everything from Balkan food at Ambar to Mexican food to Southern cooking at Tupelo Honey, barbecue at Rockland, seafood at Quarterdeck, pho, burgers, pizza, it's all there. Now, special nod to Colony Grill for pizza. They hail from my hometown in Connecticut, and I was thrilled when they began their DC expansion several years ago. I tell everybody this, but I saw it on Facebook that they were coming to Arlington, and I was upstairs, and I ran downstairs and told my husband, and I was like, oh my God, I have the best news ever. Guess what it is? And he said, you're pregnant. And I was like, holy crap, that would not be good news at all. We were done by that point. Anyway, I told him Colony Grill was opening, and it's very exciting. We were there last night. Love it. So restaurants are more spread out in South Arlington. You will find them along Route 1 in Pentagon City. You'll find them along Columbia Pike. And then in Shirlington, there is all kinds of food here too. Italian, Mexican, Salvadorian, diners, burger, pizza. Special mention for the Thai restaurants in South Arlington. Thai Square is one of my favorites, but you're going to find a lot of delicious Thai food in South Arlington. Now, every grocery store from the usual local places like Safeway and Giant is here. Harris Teeter, Whole Foods, Costco, the worst Costco in the world is here, but it doesn't stop me from going there. It's just, the parking lot's kind of a bloodbath. All right, next up is diversity. So every type of lifestyle is here. If you want a large home with a yard and a garage and driveway to park your cars, you can easily find that. Northern part of Arlington's probably where you want to look. You can also find that in other areas around the county. If you want to live in a townhome that's close to retail and other amenities, you can go to on foot. That's also possible in areas like Clarendon. If you want to live in a more urban and city lifestyle, there's tons of condos around the county where you can have that lifestyle as well, and everything's walkable and you'll feel like, I don't need a car. Arlington also has some initiatives happening now to ensure that home prices don't rise out of reach, namely the programs called the Missing Middle Housing. The premise here was that they were going to create homes that were something between the larger single-family home and the apartment condo style, or duplex, or like a triplex, something like that. You can house more families in the county this way, so the idea was to not issue any more single-family building permits. As you can imagine, this caused all sorts of arguments. Then came the lawsuit. In September 2024, a judge ruled against the county, and the county is actually appealing that. The court said that Arlington County, the board, was not within their legal rights to pass this bill. And that is a great lead into my next pro about Arlington. Great sense of community. So, all right, many neighborhoods here are walkable. People describe very friendly neighborhoods, that they have got text message chains and kids who walk to school and older teens who are allowed freedom to walk around retail areas like Ballston and Clarendon. This is a great place to raise a family. It's got an urban lifestyle, but if you want to be more suburban, you could find that too by just going to sort of the edges, the further reaches of North Arlington, and it's definitely more suburban. All right, so cons. All right, I've described a pretty idyllic place. There has to be some downsides. Of course there are, you guys. There always are. So you guessed it, the cost of living. It's costly to live here. The median salary in Arlington is $120,000, which is more than twice the national average, which is in the mid-50s. Household income skews higher for residents living in the northern parts of Arlington, and home prices follow suit. So while property taxes are higher in Virginia than they are in DC, income taxes are lower on this side of the Potomac. Next up is traffic. So traffic was already pretty bad here, but with all the businesses coming to Northern Virginia and the ones that are here, just expect it to keep getting worse. Now with everybody going back to work and all these things shifting around, things are changing. Fortunately, there's plenty of public transportation available with several metro stops on the blue, yellow, and orange lines. Now, all three metro lines originate in DC, and the orange line heads west and services North Arlington along the Roslyn Courthouse, Clarendon, Virginia Square, and Ballston corridor. The blue and yellow lines head into South Arlington. The blue line takes you to Arlington National Cemetery, connects with the yellow line at the Pentagon, and then they split again at King Street and head in different southern directions. Most people in Arlington have cars, but if you choose to live close to public transit, you can go without a vehicle. I have clients who do it. The metro and buses are thankfully adequate to service most of Arlington with ease. The next con is the tough real estate market. If you are looking for a sweet steal on a home that's been sitting on the market for a while, Arlington's not the place. Homes here move quickly with a lot of competition. An already tight real estate market was made a lot worse by Amazon announcing their HQ2 arrival to Crystal City in South Arlington. Most of the homes in North Arlington are larger single-family homes. There are expanded Cape Cods, which will sell in like over 1.5 million within a few days. There's McMansions, which sell over 2 million. Condos are found in the more urban areas along Wilson Boulevard corridor from Roslyn through Ballston. South Arlington has everything from bungalows to huge homes that have now been, as they call, McMansioned from a formerly small home like a Rambler or a ranch. Now, the land is supremely valuable in Arlington, so you will find McMansions that have been built right to the lot lines. And it's always a crapshoot as to what you are going to find when touring homes in Arlington, particularly Crystal City, where a lot of them were used as like group rental homes for many years. And then these homes kind of became, a lot of them have been turned over at this point. Some have been renovated, some haven't, but you'll definitely see a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything. So then there's a whole other group of homes that have been renovated and added onto by various owners over the years. And this often makes a valuation for a purchase really difficult because there's no telling like what's hidden behind the walls. Can you expand the kitchen? Can you put it, can you do all these things? It's just like, it brings up a lot of questions. And so then what I've noticed most recently in Arlington, like what's happening like now is there's a lot of empty nesters who've raised their family here and they're downsizing. So these homes can be priced all over the place. Like sometimes the price makes sense and the home sits on the market. And then sometimes it seems overpriced and it gets multiple offers. It's seriously all about location and condition. Now, even though an Arlington home can be beat up from years of tenants or it'd be a hodgepodge of design, someone's going to snap it up most likely because the land is so valuable. This is usually very tough for people moving to Arlington to understand. There's going to be multiple offers on mostly everything. The good news, though, is that your home value stays strong and real estate stays high in demand, which is also awesome. So, Arlington, if convenience, location, great schools, and outdoor activities are on your list of must-haves, it's worth a visit to Arlington. Arlington checks most of the boxes for many home buyers. There's price points here for every budget, and there's also lots of parks and green space. Arlington also offers a location that's easily commutable to Washington, D.C., Tyson's Corner, the Tech Corridor, and that's where a lot of the jobs now are located. So I am Melissa Terzis. That is Arlington. If you have any questions, my contact info is coming next.